And we are back on Open Line. If you're just tuning in, this is Ask an Attorney. We've got one of the top attorneys in the state of Tennessee, Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm, one of our most popular guests on Open Line. As you can tell when he's here, a lot of you call in. There's a lot of questions, a lot of comments. Absolutely. Now, Kevin, our line's very busy, so we're going to go right back to the phone. Right. So, Sandra, we're going back, checking in with you. Sandra, I know you've got a second question. Thanks for waiting through the break. And go ahead with that question number 2.
Yeah, Sandra.
Go ahead, Sandra. Can you hear us? I think we may have lost her. All right, we're going to go back to the lines right now. Gary is on the line with us. Gary, good evening. And do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, I do. Just a follow-up. I talked to him once before, and he gave me some advice, and unfortunately, that didn't pan out.
Okay.
Last year, I was in a wreck, and the lady didn't have no license insurance. I didn't know until I got out of the hospital. Well, I took her to civil court.
Yes.
I just had limited liability on my insurance. I just had limited liability. She had no license, no insurance, no nothing. So I took her to civil court and got a judgment. Now, how do I go about collecting this judgment? Legal aid was supposed to be helping me. Even legal aid, the attorney, seemed like he was more interested in trying to work off the case himself.
Yes. Instead
of trying to refer me to somebody. So yeah, I'm trying to get to resolve because I'm going through some injuries from that wreck. I can't get resolved.
Yes.
Medical help.
Well, you know, the truth is so many people, you can sue, you can get a judgment, but can you collect it? There's a host of collection lawyers out there. You can call the Nashville Bar Association, Tennessee Bar Association, and they can refer you. Well, those lawyers many times would charge a third, and so if they collect money out of these, they run asset evaluations. If they have a home, they can take that judgment and put a lien on their home. If they ever went to sell the home, it may be a year, 5 years, but they'd have to pay that lien once it's recorded. So that may be some options that you can talk to. And remember this, people have the U.S. Bankruptcy Code. If there is a judgment or a lien out there, they still have the right to go file bankruptcy and wipe that debt out. And you say, well, that's not fair. That's the law. We never said that every law is fair. They're intended to protect individuals, but there's some days that's very much disappointing for the client and the lawyer and the judge, because many times they have to say, I don't think this is right, but this is the law, so I'll have to enforce it.
All right. Well, Gary, hope that helps this time. So, again, thanks for the call. We appreciate it very much. Right back to the lines with us. We're going to Lucy. Lucy, good evening. And do you have a question or a comment for Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm?
Well, I have a comment first. Hey, dynamic duo. I like seeing you guys on.
Yeah, we're going to. Thank you. That's sweet of you.
Well, listen, here's my question. It's back to the peace and enjoyment of your property.
Yes.
What if you have a neighbor that, you know, say that they're letting the section of their property only against your house, not other neighbor's house, go to pot, and you can't even get anybody to come out to your house and do maintenance because they're afraid something is alive down there and all those weeds.
Well, I've got the answer.
You wanted to sell your property, you can't even have somebody come out and look at your house because they're going to see that and wonder what's going on because somebody's probably into like building spite walls.
I'm with you.
It's that kind of stuff. How can you take care of that? And better yet, Mr. Kennedy, what if somebody's supposed to be managing this property and you've reported to them and they blow you off with but?
Well, I'll tell you what you're going to do. Every one of the cities have building and code departments. If there's violations, they've got junk cars, they've got tall grass, overgrown, dead trees, snaky, then you just go right in there and file a complaint with the building codes, and they will go, and what they will do, they'll inspect it, they'll evaluate it, send the owner of the property a citation, give them so many days to clean it up, and if they don't, the city will go clean it up and then give them the bill. I've seen them where they're $3,500 because it's in the best interest of the public that these subdivisions and places of habitation be kept up. It's health-wise, it's beautification-wise, and it's against public policy. So that I'd be at the codes tomorrow if I had that situation.
Okay, well, Lucy, thanks so much for that question. I just learned a lot on that one, so we really appreciate that, and I'm sure a lot of people did as well, so have a great evening. All right, back to the lines right now. I think it's Denny is online with us. Denny, do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, sir. You've helped me out in the past with some legal information for a family member.
Great.
But now, this is an establishment. It's a medical clinic.
Okay.
Well, last year, I've seen some discrepancies in the billing, so red flags went up.
Yes.
This year, I've kept all my bills and all the copies, and they're overbilling me right now, and I don't know where to start, who to talk to.
Yes.
File a complaint with, or
what I would try to do, first thing, I want to resolve it to protect your financial interest the most. So you might get a friend, you might go down there and see them, say, I think you have made a mistake. This is just a little misunderstanding because you've overbilled me, or I've already paid this bill, and here's my canceled checks. Remember, a great client is one who's document. Many times I could pay a bill with cash, but I like to write a check. And they say, well, I'm just going to use my card. I love to write a check on certain things to put on the bottom of the check. This is what this is for, paid in full. You don't have that when you put your card in. So there's 1,000 ways to try to document, and remember this, if you're not protecting your rights, no one is. And so yeah, get some help to go down there and see and then if they do not rectify that, then you say, okay, I'm going to call Tennessee Consumer Affairs, I'll call the Better Business Bureau, I'll file these complaints, and you will get their attention. I didn't say you'd get all your money back, but you've got their attention because it causes them a lot of grief to have to deal with these complaints. And many times it'll get somebody's job.
And just so be persistent in that.
Yeah, and we hear that often. There's fraud here, fraud there, office workers, they just need to be held accountable.
Okay, so good to know. So, Denny, we appreciate the call.
Thank you.
And now we're going to Mary on the line. Mary, we are glad that you're watching tonight. We appreciate the call. And do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
A question, please.
All righty, go ahead.
If you have, like if someone gave me a car,
Yep.
and they just signed the title,
Yes.
but I've never signed my name to the title, and can I leave it open and never put my name on it until I get ready to drive it?
Yeah, now here's some gray areas. First off, if they sign it over and you never register it, if you lose that title, you got a real problem. So it's incumbent to try to, if you get a car, get it titled in your name. And then put your insurance on it and go. You run the risk, and again, if you bought it, it's open title, and you gave $1,000, and you say, well, I'm going to sell it for $2,000, and I don't want to pay the tax. That's really a tax evasion issue, and you don't want it to come back and bite you. I'll tell you one more. This is one that you're really shocked on. Of course, I was in the car business before I was a lawyer, and so a guy sold the car. I sell it to Chuck. Sign it, he pays me legitimate. Well, Chuck never registers it, drives it across the country, and it breaks down in Houston, Texas. Well, he took his tag off. Guess what? They run the numbers, and it comes back to Kevin C. Kennedy. I said, guys, I sold that. Well, what I probably should have done is said, Chuck, I sold it, put your name on the title, and then help you make sure you go record it. Now, I don't have control over Chuck. That's a risk of doing business. Every time that you do a business deal, there is always a risk factor.
All right. Again, I'm not just blowing smoke, Kevin, but you know, one of the things that always amazes me, we get such a broad spectrum of questions, and it always amazes me you've got the answers.
Man,
but I think that comes from experience. Serious.
When you go to the Kennedy Law Firm and that waiting room is full, and this, you thought, I've heard everything. Then the lawyers came in, you're not going to believe this, Kevin. I said, you are kidding. Because even now, we still hear some things that are brand new. How did that ever happen? That's why I'm a praying man. Pray for God's protection every day.
We gave you a lot of wisdom and a lot of information, so we're glad.
True.
Absolutely. All right, back to the lines right now. Paul, we're glad that you called in this evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, sir, I do. Could you please tell me that that the Tennessee state legislature is toughening the laws on animal cruelty, and I'll just hang up and listen.
Yes. Well, that is
very much, sir.
Thank you. That is a major, major issue across the nation. You know, I represent the Tennessee Walking Horse Breeders and Exhibitors and have for a number of years. I'm in the walking horse business. Yes, there is a movement everywhere, and I applaud the people who are sensitive and give to the various shelters that help animals. But there, you can count on it. It is a move throughout the legislature to try to protect the animals. It's so much they want to protect the elderly, they want to protect the disabled, protect the poor, and protect the animals.
All right, so that is a great point that you brought up, Paul, so we're glad you called in. We appreciate that very much. All right, back to the lines right now. Joey is on the line with us. Joey, we're glad that you called. And do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I'm just wondering, I'm having trouble with my driver's license, and I'm wondering if I need to go to an attorney to get it straightened out. It's from another state that happened 25 years ago, and it affected my license, and I got caught again without a license, you know, and it snowballed, but it's, you know, it's just a big mess, and it's from another state 25 years ago, and I'm wondering, you know, what I would, you know, go to someone like you to get it straightened out, or...
Right, and here's what we do. If you've got an issue with your driver's license, absolutely go to a lawyer, and then they can research and find out what is the claim that is holding our license up in Arizona. And if it's a $2,500 or if it's a mistake, we may have to hire a lawyer in Arizona to help. But that is a priority, and that's where you should invest your resources to get, because every time you get another arrest warrant, they're going to revoke your license. And you can't really have a good job or a quality of life in America without having a driver's license.
All right, very important to know.
So get the help.
Absolutely. So, Joey, appreciate that call. Good information there. A lot of you calling in still. You are watching, if you just tuned in, Ask an Attorney. We're with attorney Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. We do need to take a short break, but back with more questions right after this, so come on back with us.